All righty, here we go. It's great to have you here on the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast, exclusively on the Grid Network. I'm Mike Guido. That's Dalton Brown. It is great to have you here on another Monday evening. We're post-trade deadline now, and we have plenty of stuff to go over today. Dalton, how are we feeling tonight?
Good. I mean, we're in the home stretch. There's a lot to talk about. I've got some lingering trade deadline thoughts that we'll get to, but also just excited to talk about the baseball that was played this weekend, the baseball that's going to be played over the next couple months.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And maybe except if you're a Yankee fan, maybe it won't be that great. Trust me. We'll have plenty to say about the stupid ass Yankees. We'll talk about them in a couple minutes. We'll talk about all the division races. We're going to kind of just check in and see where all the divisions are at. And Dalton, we're going to kind of make predictions and see how confident we are in these divisions and who we think are going to end up winning these divisions, who will come out on top. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. You have quite the opinion, I think, on the Twins fire sale that happened at the trade deadline. And we'll save that for a little bit later in the show, but I'm sure you're going to want to not miss that. But listen, as we do every show, we cater to our own fan bases. Yankees, Dodgers. Dalton's the defending champs, and quite frankly, the Yankees don't deserve to go first anymore on this show. So, Dalton, the state of the Dodgers as currently constituted, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be obviously, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about the Yankees, and then we've got a whole segment, dedicated to them as well. So there'll be plenty of time to talk about them. As far as the Dodgers, I think this is when the run starts. They just finished a 4-2 week on the road in Cincinnati and Tampa Bay. Took 2 out of 3 in both series. I thought that was a really, strong week for them, stronger than they've been. And part of that is that all of a sudden the Dodgers are getting healthy. And this is when the roster starts to look a little bit like that scary roster that it was going into April. Mm-hmm. The rotation as it currently stands, meaning this isn't, when these guys get healthy, this is what the rotation is as of right now. Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, and Emmett Sheehan. There's an argument to be made that that's the best rotation in Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. And it kind of felt like 3 weeks ago, it was, can Justin Robleski give us 3 or 4 innings? Can Dustin May throw strikes tonight? And who else can we possibly get innings out of? So it's amazing how quickly these tides can turn. I'm hopeful that these guys can stay healthy, because if so, if this rotation stays healthy down the stretch, it's arguably the best in the game, which is really exciting. Getting Blake Trinan back from the injured list, also massive for the bullpen. He's looked a little rusty so far, but he's just not a guy I worry about. I think he'll be just fine. And then Brock Stewart so far from the Twins, I think he's only pitched 1 inning so far for the Dodgers, but looks just as good as he did in Minnesota. I watched his full 7-minute interview before Sunday's game. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders and is really excited about the opportunity, but not making it bigger than it needs to be. So I'm really excited. Obviously the Dodgers didn't do a ton at the trade deadline, but I think that what they're getting back, it's a cliche to say, look, our trade deadline acquisitions are who we're getting back from injury. Right. I really think that that's what it is for the Dodgers, and you were already feeling that right around the deadline. So obviously you only have a 3-game lead over San Diego, so things are going to be tight heading into the home stretch, but you're hosting the Cardinals this week. That's a team I'd like to see us sweep. It's a team that's not playing particularly well. And then a hot Blue Jays team comes into town. And then you get the Padres next week. So big 2 weeks here. I'd like to see the Dodgers rip off like a 5-1 homestand before we're going to play the Angels. And maybe, if you can go 8-1 or 7-2, get some momentum built going into that Padres series, which is at Dodger Stadium, you can really put yourself in a position to build that division lead back out to 6 or 7 games in the next 2 weeks. And I think that's the goal right now for the Dodgers. Getting Muncy back tonight, also absolutely massive for the lineup. And yeah, man, I mean, the arrow is finally pointing upward again after the doldrums of midsummer, and I think this team's ready to take off.
Yeah, no, 100%. I listen. The Dodgers, I think, were always just in a position where they needed to get healthy. And I think the point of you making that in the next, like, not this week, but the week after, the 2 weeks following that, you're at the Angels, whatever, but you have a 3-gamer against the Padres, then you go on the road to Colorado for 4, and then you're back in San Diego for another 3.
Yep.
That 6-game stretch against the Padres is massive for the Dodgers. Absolutely massive for the Dodgers. So if they can just, like, not blow it, right? Like, just they don't get swept by the Cardinals. They put up a good series against the Blue Jays, and they can put themselves in a position where they have some cushion in those 6 games leading into those 2 Padres series. Then, this could be the point where we say that, like, this was the stretch run that ended up winning the Dodgers the division. I think we could look back at the end of the year and sort of say that about the Dodgers right now.
And from a scheduling perspective, I really like that these series are bookended with Anaheim, Colorado, right? The Dodgers still have the easiest schedule in baseball remaining. I know we've talked about that at length, but I checked that today because I was curious, where are we at the rest of the way? It is still true that the Dodgers have the easiest schedule in baseball remaining. I can't even imagine the extent to which that's going to be true once you finish those 6 games with San Diego.
The Dodgers' schedule in September is pretty laughable. Like, it's so at the Pirates, at the Orioles, home against the Rockies, at the Giants. You get a 3-gamer against the Phillies, 4 games against the Giants, at the Diamondbacks, and then you finish the season in Seattle.
Yeah.
So, like, you got the Phillies at home and then Seattle on the road, and that's it.
Yeah, and the whole idea is that by the time that Seattle series comes around, you're not needing those games.
You're not, right, 100%. So, yes, obviously we're at that point with the Dodgers now. John Does Math is furious at the moment that we are not talking about the Colorado Rockies. It's a shame because they did have that 17-16 win against the Pirates the other night. I mean, that was quite the game. That was maybe one of the more interesting games of this calendar year between 2 teams that have no playoff aspirations, but
I mean, probably
wild outcome.
Probably the best baseball game that nobody ever watched.
That's unbelievably true. Thank you again, John, for the compliment on the haircut. That I had a wedding yesterday, so I'm a little tired today, but and maybe
a little Sunday wedding, huh?
It's a little Sunday wedding. It's true.
Bold strategy.
I know, it really is. Everybody had work in the morning, and we didn't get out of there till like 11:30 at night, so it was real nice. No, hey, listen, congrats to the happy couple. Okay, here we go. So the Yankees are now in 3rd place in the AL East. They are 4.5 back of the Blue Jays, and they are a 1.5 back now, a full 1.5 back of the Red Sox for 2nd place. What the absolute fuck is going on? Like, I'm so, like, I don't even know what to say, honestly. So you have moments now. I mean, we just got swept by the Marlins in Miami. Okay. And credit where credit is due. The Marlins have been the best team in baseball for 2 months, right? And that's just undeniably true. They have the best record in baseball since June 1st. Like, they've been unbelievably good for 2 months. But getting swept by the Marlins is unacceptable in the fashion in which you did. The first game, and honestly, this whole series against the Marlins, and I can't even believe that I'm saying this, right? This whole series against the Marlins is fully representative of what is wrong with the Yankees right now. Like, that was a full display of what is wrong with them. The Yankees bullpen has been brutally bad for a while now. I mean, like, it's getting to the point where I don't even remember the last time it was good this season. And truly, it was unbelievable because on Friday when they lost, they had a 9-4 lead heading into the 7th.
Yeah.
Jake Bird comes in. And again, Jake Bird's numbers in Colorado were not eye-popping. He's one of these, like, they see something in him. He's got tons of control, whatever. I was okay with it. They gave up Rock Riggio to get him. Like, there's some value in this guy, okay? He comes in, gives up a grand slam, gets absolutely shelled. The next arm out of the pen is newly acquired closer David Bednar, who gets rocked for 5 outs. Then after David Bednar comes out, we bring in newly acquired Camilo Doval, who, again, electric stuff. He's been a little inconsistent in his career, of course, but really electric stuff. Completely blows the game. Blows the same, everything. Just gets shelled again. And don't even get me started on Jose Caballero in right field, who all of a sudden, outside of his outrageously high-rated defense, outrageously high-rated base running, all of that stuff, the scrappy tools that he has, lets a ground ball to the outfield go right under his glove. Goes all the way to the fence. I mean, that truly is what blew the game. The very next day, Dalton, Jazz Chisholm gets picked off at first base on a pop-up to second.
Yeah, that was the worst, I think.
What are we doing? What, like, there is, like, I tweeted out a few days ago, like, there was a couple years ago I coached an 11 and 12-year-old Little League baseball team, okay? And that team made, I swear to God, less mental errors than what the Yankees do right now, okay? They are so out of it, and I don't understand what it is. I really don't, because we came in, Dalton, you and I came together on Thursday, 15 minutes after the deadline ended, and you and I both agreed. We were just like, after what the Yankees have done over the past however long, this was the deadline they needed, right? They got bats. They got guys that kill lefties. They absolutely overhauled the bullpen with controllable, solid arms, with great stuff, with a track record of success. All, like, they fixed what they needed to fix. And then they come out of the deadline and get swept in just fully non-competitive games. Yuri Perez looked like Cy Young against the Yankees on Saturday. Like, I'm so blown away by the level of embarrassment that this franchise can go through in such a short period of time. Like, I don't know. I don't remember another time where I was more frustrated with this team as a fan. I really, like, because we've had bad years. We have. Like, there have been years where we haven't made the playoffs. There have been years where our roster wasn't that great. Whatever. Those years happen. This is a good Yankee baseball team. You can't look up and down that roster, Dalton, and tell me that they don't have talent at every level. They do. But what the hell is this crap that they're laying out? I'm blown away. And again, I'm sure we'll talk about it. It's a little bit more at some point. But I am just, like, I'm having a conniption just trying to get the words out. So,
yeah. I mean, we might as well just roll into it because it is our first topic, is this general malaise around the Yankees. And, look, I think part of the, because there are questions now that need to be asked about this team's viability as far as, like, are they, like, do we still believe that they have any chance of winning the American League East? I think the question has to be asked because playing the way they are right now, they're not making. I'll put it this way: if they continue this type of baseball, they're not going anywhere.
No.
Because I think the thing that's for Yankee fans, I have to imagine the part of this that's most frustrating is you spend the entire offseason hearing about how fundamentally unsound your team is and how sloppy the organization is at just being prepared to play day in and day out, right? Like that's kind of what you hear. You hear Dodger players making comments about it, right? It's talked about in the media all offseason. This is like the one kind of losing that I don't think is acceptable from this team this year, right? Like you're going to have pitchers who can't find it every once in a while. You're going to have guys go cold at the plate, but the mental errors and the inability to play defense and a lot of just like the silly shit that's happening is exactly the stuff that like gets managers fired, if we're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, let me ask you this, Mike. Let's say the Yankees sputter down the stretch. They get into the playoffs as a wild card and they get bonked out in the wild card round. Are you calling for Aaron Boone's head at that point?
I mean, I have a very uncomfortable answer in that sense as far as me, just because like I don't know how much blame Aaron Boone deserves for this. Now, again, I'm not going to pretend like I'm in the clubhouse and he's going easy on guys or he's ripping guys to shreds or because at some point you have to also ask yourself, what is Aaron Boone supposed to do about Jazz Chisholm getting picked off at first base on an infield pop-up, right?
I guess the reason I asked the question is because, and I've had this conversation in the past about the Dodgers. The reason I asked the question is, to me, this at its core is a culture issue, right? Mm-hmm. It's a coming to the ballpark prepared issue. It's a coming into the game prepared issue, right? Mm-hmm. To me, that type of culture stuff ultimately falls on the manager. That's the argument I would make.
I think that's 100% true, and I agree with you in that extent of the culture stuff falls on the guy who runs the clubhouse 100%. But I also don't I saw somebody tweet this the other day and they said for every Yankee fan that wants Aaron Boone fired, Joe Torre is not walking through that door. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You could wish for Aaron Boone to be fired and maybe for good reason, but is there any there's no guarantee that if you fire Aaron Boone and you bring in Joe Nobody, that the culture is going to get any better. At what, how much control does the manager actually have in a player's state of commitment? You know, I don't know.
Well, I think control is a fair question, but I think whether the manager has control or not, the manager has responsibility for it, right? And so, I mean, look, because I had this conversation a lot with Dave Roberts last year because the Dodgers went through stretches last year where I felt like they were playing just unacceptably sloppy baseball at a level where it's look, at a certain point, if you don't live up to expectations after playing this kind of baseball all year, managers got to go. Now, credit to Roberts. They were locked in the postseason. They did what they needed to do. I'll shut my mouth, right? Same thing with Boone. If the Yankees come out in the postseason and they're mashing and he's managing competitively, I'm not saying that he should lose his job right now, right? But I do have to wonder if this talented of a team sputters out early, at what point is the culture just kind of rotten and you have to take the chance of, hey, maybe the next person's not any better, but you need to get a new voice in there.
Well,
it's a conversation that it's to be fair, it's not a right now conversation, right? But I think it's a conversation that you're careening toward needing to have maybe.
Oh yeah. Well, I definitely think you're trending in that direction, and people have been, debating whether or not Aaron Boone deserves to be there still or not. But, I also think that the Yankees culture and organizational issues run way deeper than Aaron Boone. You and I have had that conversation before. I don't think that this is necessarily an Aaron Boone issue and an Aaron Boone issue alone. This is a like there is something within the Yankee organization, the way they develop players, the way they prepare players, the way they scout players, whatever the case may be, there is something broken within the organization. And I know that that's like, there are going to be some people that roll their eyes to that because it's just like, listen, you just made the World Series last year. But if you're watching Yankee baseball day in and day out, like I am, you can just see it. And especially with all of this that's going on now, where everything is just coming to the surface, and this is the lowest point of baseball that we've seen from the Yankees in a long time. Like, this is just the culmination of everything that every Yankee fan has projected that is wrong with this franchise forever.
Yeah.
It's been so long since the Yankees have felt right. And I'm sure, Dalton, even from your perspective as an outside just baseball fan that's not particularly a Yankee fan, I mean, you even said it yourself on certain in certain instances regarding what the Yankees are about now. The Yankees don't even feel like the Yankees anymore. Like there's something different about how, I don't know if it's because George isn't there anymore. I don't know if it's because they're playing in new Yankee Stadium instead of old Yankee Stadium. It just doesn't have the same feel to it, whatever the case may be. And all of that is just hogwash. But at the same time, it's like something has deeply rooted changed in this organization. It just is a different feel.
Yeah, it's hard for me to argue against that. I mean, because like the Yankees don't carry the same aura, I feel like, these days.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I think Aaron Judge carries that aura, like individually.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like the team carries it right now. And especially, I mean, the way this team looks, when he misses time, woof, like it gets bad. Now he's due back tomorrow, right?
He should be coming back tomorrow. Yeah, as a DH.
So, yeah, I mean, you hope that that's the spark they need. But like, God forbid Aaron Judge comes back and is cold.
Well, that's true. But it's also like Aaron Judge being out, I'm sure has an impact, but it's not like the Yankees can't score without him. They've been scoring runs. It's not like they've been blanked on every game that he doesn't play. So, but the issue that I have too is that it almost doesn't matter because in the games that they score, they give up a ton. In the games they don't score, like there's just like, but Dalton, we're past the point that this is a slump. I mean, this is like 6 weeks, 7 weeks worth of just well beyond mediocre baseball. And it's gotten really bad recently. So at what point, let me just ask you full front, right? Are you confident, or I shouldn't even say are you confident, do you think simply that the Yankees can turn this around? Or do you think this is just like a spiraling ship sinking?
I still believe they're going to win the division.
Okay.
I don't feel as convicted about that as I felt about it a week ago or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. But I still think they are significantly better on paper than Toronto or Boston. And I'm not really a believer, especially in Toronto as like a division champ. I'm just not. I think they're getting too much hero from guys like Ernie Clement and Addison Barger. It's hard for me to see that continuing. So no, I'm not concerned about the Yankees missing the playoffs. I'm not concerned about anything like that. But it is possible now, right? Whereas like if you and I were talking a month ago, it was like, the Yankees are starting to scuffle a little bit, but they'll be fine. Now it's like they've been scuffling for a while. They need to turn it around if they're going to be fine. And so I think that there's kind of been a shift in energy around that. And look, they only have 3 games left with Toronto this year, and Toronto's already won the season series. Yeah. So you don't just have to tie Toronto, you have to beat Toronto in that division. And that matters because that means that right now you're not 4.5 games back, you're effectively 5 games back. Right. So they've got an uphill climb. I would bet on them doing it at the number that it's out there at. I think you can get it at +3, +400 right now. I'd still make that bet, but it's looking dicey.
It's definitely looking dicey. Yeah. Well, good thing that they just signed 37-year-old Kenta Maeda today to a minor league deal.
Hey,
I think that
don't
might
you disrespect Kenta Maeda.
That might be the turning point right there. Really. He's gone. Listen, Kenta Maeda has genuinely gone from coast to coast.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball. Dodgers, Twins, Tigers, and now all the way
Iowa Cubs, and now the Yankees.
Right. It's exactly right. Oh boy. Yeah, that's another thing to bring up with the Yankees too, is that they are so terrible against their own division. They have a worse division record, I believe, than the Orioles at the moment, and that's just no bueno. Not good. So yeah, I'm nervous. I'm certainly nervous. And they do need to turn it around. So speaking of which, let's shift our focus into some of these divisions now, because and we can even start in the American League East, because you kind of let the cat out of the bag already, and I sort of prompted you to, so is what it is. So let's run down some of these divisions, and we'll kind of give predictions of where these divisions are going to go. Again, it's August 4th. The playoffs are a coming. Like, it's not, we're getting ready to go now. So let's start in the AL East right now. The Blue Jays, with a 65-48 record, they're in first place. Red Sox 3 games back at 62-51. Yankees at 60-52. They're 4.5 back. And then I think the Rays, who have been really struggling for a while now, they're 55-58. They're 10 games back. That's a steep hill to climb now. And the Orioles 51-61. They're 13.5 back. So Dalton, you kind of spilled it a little bit before. But the AL East, how do we feel right now here in the early stages of August?
Yeah. So I would say, sorry, I'm sending you a direct message as well. But I think for me, when I look at the AL East, the way I want to do this, and I just messaged this, I think we should go, we each give who wins the division and a percentage confidence that we have on it, kind of like a confidence meter, right?
Good.
I'm still going to go Yankees, but I'm going to go with a confidence of 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not, I'm not pushing a ton of chips behind it, but I still think Yankees. And the reason is I just think that they're deeper than Toronto or Boston. And there's enough runway still left that with Judge healthy and the way that lineup can hit. And I get that the initial outings from Doval, Bird, and Bednar, like I get that the initial outings were ugly, but this is still a nasty bullpen. And I think they're going to be able to get 5 strong innings out of Max Fried, Carlos Rodon. Mm-hmm. I think they'll piecemeal the other games. Schlittler looks good.
But I think he's going to be real good. I think
they'll piecemeal the other games, and the lineup's going to mash, and the bullpen's going to be really good. I still think they win that division. I just think they're too deep. Where are you at with it? Do you think they do?
God, I almost hate that we did this one first. I really do, because I do think that the Yankees are still going to do it. But I think I'm less confident than you. I'm thinking like 20%, 25%, like just based on how they're playing now. I almost just don't have much faith. But here's the thing. I am not a massive believer in the Yankees, really. I'm not a believer at all in the Blue Jays. I really am not. Like, I really think I agree with you completely. Like, Addison Barger is not this good. He's just not. Like, Ernie Clement is not this good. Andres Jimenez does not hit 325. Like, it doesn't happen. Okay. So I do think that the Blue Jays will eventually come back down to earth. Because they have been so hot for a while now. The Red Sox, now Tanner Houck's out for the season, right? So they're down one of their big rotation arms now. I think the Red Sox are going to be in for a rude awakening come like mid-late August. Like, I think there's going to be a point where they just start tumbling a little bit. I just think that there's a window that the Yankees can just kind of, they can kind of jump in and make something of it. I don't think the Yankees are going to be this terrible forever. And maybe it's my own naivete, right? Like, I really think that the Yankees are not just going to be this the rest of the season. If they are this for the rest of the season, forget about winning the division. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're just not.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the American League is too muddy in the middle for them to get away with that. But I do think they're better than the Red Sox. The Blue Jays have kicked their ass all season, and they might still do that. But
I think part of a good way to look at it, Mike, the Blue Jays run differential is plus 16. The Yankees is plus 92.
Plus 92. Yeah, I know.
Like, they're not that close to one another. It just, the Blue Jays are winning in the margins right now. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're in agreement there. Yeah. Let's go to the AL Central. Detroit obviously has a pretty large lead here. 8 games over Cleveland, 8.5 over Kansas City. I am really not wanting to rule Kansas City out. This is just a really tough margin. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Detroit, and I'm going to put it at 90% confident.
Yeah.
But I would love to see Kansas City make a run at this and make them sweat.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. So Tigers right now it's 65-48. Cleveland's 56-55. They're 8 games back. Royals are 500 at 56-56. They're 8.5. Twins are out 52-59, 12 games back. White Sox obviously out 42-70. They're 22.5 back. Yeah, I think it's essentially a wrap. Like, I really think the Tigers have this division by the horns, and they have not. Let's make this clear: they have not been playing good baseball lately.
Are you at 100% then?
Yeah. I think the Tigers have it. I think it's done.
Well, I'll be prepared to hold that against you if they don't have
it. Yeah, we're gonna get to like September 15th, and it's gonna be like a 1.5 game lead that they have in the division. I'm gonna be sweating bullets. And John does math saying fade Detroit in the playoffs, people.
So I mean, he might be right, but man, like, you're certainly not going to fade him in game 1.
No, can't fade him in game 1. Can't fade him in game 1 with Scooble. All right, go to the AL West. The Astros right now are in first. They're 62-50. Mariners 2.5 back at 60-53. Rangers 4.5 back at 58-55. The buying Angels at 54-58. They're 8 back, and the A's they're out 49-65 with 14 games back in the division. So the Astros right now are atop it. Dalton, I think I know where you're going with this because you've been singing the praises of them for a while now. But where do you feel about the AL West?
So this is kind of a tricky one, like more so than it should be, because the Astros have the lead. But Mike, the Astros are playing really bad baseball right now. Like, they're 2-8 their last 10. They just feel kind of sloppy, and Seattle does have a little bit of an easier schedule left than Houston, not by a lot, but by a few percentage points. Seattle's got an easier schedule left. So I'm not going with a ton of confidence here, but I'm going to go Houston 65% confident that they take it home. I still believe in this team's pedigree when the chips are down to find a way, but it doesn't help Seattle either that they finish with the Dodgers. I'll say that.
No, it does not help. The Astros, I would say, I agree. I think the Astros will. I think the Astros are going to win it, and I'm about the same as you. I'm around 50% ish. Like, I think it's going to be between them and the Mariners when it comes down to it. I really don't know that the Rangers are going to be able to put it together enough to get up there. And Seattle has made things interesting because their pitching is already elite, but they just added 2 big boppers to that lineup. So they're going to be able to kill you from both sides. So I do think the Astros will get it, but because, again, like you said, it's just like a feel thing. We've gotten used to the Astros being good and them pulling through in these situations. So, yeah, I'll take the Astros. I'm feeling pretty 50-50.
Right now. And you mentioned the Rangers. the Rangers have the 4th toughest schedule left.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the Brewers, the Blue Jays, the Phillies, the Yankees, 6 still with Houston, and 3 with the Mets left on their schedule. Their other series, A's, Twins, Diamondbacks, Angels. So 6 of their 10 remaining opponents are presumably playoff teams. That's a tough road. Whereas you look at Houston's got the 23rd toughest schedule left, Seattle 26th. So it's going to be a really tough road for Texas.
Yep. All right, National League, the NL East. Phillies right now on top of the division. The Mets trailing right behind, though, 63-49 to the Mets. They're a half game back. Marlins 7.5 back. I really think this is kind of a 2-man race at this point. Marlins at 55-55. There, if you would have told me that 110 games in the Marlins be 500, that'd be something else. I really wouldn't have guessed that. But they're 7.5 back. Braves 15.5 back, 47-63. This season really got away from them. And then the Nationals 44-67. They're 19 back. They're out as well. Listen, I'm assuming this is just going to be a Phillies Mets race towards the all the way up until the end of the season. How do you feel about this, Dalton?
I've said it all year, and I'm going to stick to my guns. Phillies 51%. I do think this is going to come down to the wire. I think the Mets did a really good job of fortifying the areas that they needed to fortify in the bullpen. But I just am not – look, when you get down into September and the weather starts cooling down and you get the red October and everything else, I get it. The Mets beat them in the playoffs last year. Those were different Mets.
Yeah.
These Mets haven't remembered that they're the Mets yet. And that tells me that they are going to remember that they're the Mets at some point soon here. And there's still 7 games left between these 2 teams, which is going to be cinema down the stretch. But I think the Phillies adding Duran to that bullpen and the length of that lineup, I just think that that's a team that is going to catch fire.
Yeah.
Whereas the Mets just look, man, the Mets have a tough schedule left. Like they have some games with Washington and Atlanta left. Every other game on their schedule, the rest of the way is against a playoff team.
Yeah. I think the Phillies, their chances of winning the division, I would put it like 60-65%. Because
you're more confident than me.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more confident. And that's because I think the Mets starting pitching is finally starting to implode. Like Montas sucks. Clay Holmes has finally come back down to earth. Like they are struggling as a starting staff. And they're only getting 4 innings, 5 innings out of Kodai Senga every start now. Anyway, they can't extend him. So I think it's the Phillies. If you were to ask me right now, Dalton, if it's not the Dodgers, I would say the Phillies are the favorite to win the World Series today. Like, I feel that confident in Philadelphia. I think their lineup's killer. That's a playoff rotation you don't want to see. Yohan Duran is one of the best closers in the game. They finally got a guy that they can confidently close the door with on games. I feel very, very confident about the Phillies. I really think they're very good. Regardless of whether they're a wild card team or a division winner, I think they are like that's a team primed to go to the World Series.
Yeah, and Mike, just to kind of bolster that too, I want to read off the strength of schedule left for these 2 teams because when you hear it, it makes you believe in the Phillies even more. So this is what the Mets have left. They've got 6 with Atlanta, 6 with Washington. Okay. The rest of their schedule, 7 with the Phillies, 3 with Milwaukee. Excuse me. 7 with the Phillies, 3 with Milwaukee, 3 with the Cubs, 3 with the Padres, 3 with the Tigers, 3 with the Mariners. Very few gimmies left on that schedule.
Right.
I mean, we're talking that's about 75% of their schedule that's left is against legitimate playoff contenders with a lot to play for.
And those are top tier playoff contenders. Those are not like fringe teams outside of like Seattle. Right. Like those are bona fide playoff teams.
And look, the Phillies still have those 7 with the Mets, right?
Yep.
They've got 3 with the Dodgers, 3 with Milwaukee, 3 with Seattle. And then other than that, it's Cincinnati, Texas, 3 ETH, 7 with Washington, 4 with Atlanta, 3 with Baltimore, 3 with Arizona, 3 with the Twins.
I mean, those are all sellers at the deadline.
Right. So I
Those are
mean, you
gutted
look at
rosters.
it, and the balance really starts to go the Phillies' way.
Mhm.
Where, I mean, I'll put it this way: I think if the Mets are going to win that division, they need to take at least 5, if not 6, out of those 7 head-to-head.
Yeah. No, I agree. The Mets kind of have to go on a tear.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel it. And we rip on the Mets all the time. I want to make it kind of clear here. Like, this is not us ripping the Mets.
No.
Like, this is genuinely like the Mets have a much tougher road to win the division than the Phillies do, point blank. And I think the Phillies just have a more complete roster. I don't even know that that's arguable. I really don't. So I have a lot of confidence in the Phillies. NL Central, the Brewers right now sit atop 67-44. The Cubs are 2 back. They're 65-46. They're 2 games back in the division. Pretty sure that's about it in the division, right? Reds right now at 58-54. They're 9.5 back. Cardinals 56-57, 12 back. Pirates 48-64, 19.5 back. So listen, I'm imagining this is just going to come between the Brewers and the Cubs, unless the Reds go on some godly run, which I don't think is going to happen. But how do we feel about the NL Central, Dalton?
I actually want to let you go first here because I'm very curious to see which side you land on, because I actually have a pretty strong opinion here that's a lot stronger than it's been in previous weeks.
So this one was my toughest to decide because I think the Cubs are the better team, but I think the Brewers are more set up for the postseason. Like that's kind of how I view this. I'm going to go with my gut. I think I'll go with the Cubs. I'm not all that confident. I'll put it at like 25-30% or something like that. I just think the Cubs hit better. I think at some point they're going to find some consistency with their arms. And again, I always worry about whether or not the Brewers are going to be able to offensively keep up, regardless of how good their pitching has been. But even with how good their pitching has been, they don't have a necessarily like proven track record of being great. So I'll take the Cubs. Again, not overly confident, but I'll take the Cubs at like 25-30%.
Yeah. This one is tough. I really wanted to find a way to take the Brewers because I think the Brewers rotation is for real. Like, Quinn Priester was always supposed to be this guy, and now he looks like that version, right? Jacob Mizorowski's nasty. Freddie Peralta and Jose Quintana and Brandon Woodruff are all really solid. The reason for me that I'm still going with the Cubs is I think that their lineup is one of the scariest in baseball. The way I look at this is pretty straightforward. I think Milwaukee has the pitching. I think the Cubs have the offense. I think the two teams are very evenly matched. The problem I have for Milwaukee is, again, the schedule. The Cubs play the second easiest schedule in baseball the rest of the way.
Right.
Milwaukee plays the 23rd easiest, aka the 7th hardest schedule in baseball the rest of the way. Cubs have 5 head-to-head with the Brewers, right? So those are a wash.
Yeah.
They have 7 with Cincinnati, 3 with Toronto, 3 with San Francisco, 3 with the Mets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have 3 with Colorado, 3 with Washington, 3 with Anaheim, 6 with Pittsburgh, 6 with Atlanta, and 3 with Tampa Bay. The rest of the way, from a scheduling perspective for the Cubs, outside of that Milwaukee series, which is a head-to-head, Toronto and the Mets, you feel pretty good are playoff teams. They don't play any other playoff teams outside of those two.
Right. Yeah.
The rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I just think the Cubs have so much room to get hot here. I think their pitching will figure itself out down the stretch.
Yeah.
And the bats are just going to be alive. Milwaukee, on the other hand, they still have Philly, they still have San Diego, they still have Toronto, they still have the Mets left on the schedule. They just have more to fight through.
Yeah.
So it's razor thin. I think if the Brewers had a 5-game lead here, I'd probably lean toward them finishing it out.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Cubs 55%.
Oh, wow. That's pretty confident. That's pretty high.
Well, look, what it comes down to is I think it's a 2-team race, right? So I think it's I go 55-45 Cubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that. Listen, man. The point to be made also, it's a good thing these teams are kind of battling against each other, because these are two teams that really didn't do much at the deadline. Right. I mean, we talked about the Brewers at length about how much they didn't do. And I still like the Cubs did some stuff, but I didn't think they did enough.
Well, and that's part of why, like, I just have a bad taste in my mouth with Milwaukee. And like, I know they're playing good baseball. I think they're like 36-14 or something in the last 50, and they've been playing great baseball.
They've been nasty.
But like, I just can't get out of my head that deadline. Like,
yeah,
it's just unacceptable to be that kind of contending team and have that kind of deadline.
Yeah. So after all year of speculation, by the way, the NL West has really narrowed itself down. The Dodgers right now in first place, 65-47. That's to nobody's surprise. The Padres are right next to them right now, 62-50. They're 3 games back. Everybody else kind of out of it. Giants 56-56. They're 9 games back. They sold at the deadline. Arizona Diamondbacks, they sold massively at the deadline, 53-59. They're 12 games back. And the Colorado Rockies, John's Colorado Rockies, which, by the way, they're going to beat the Blue Jays tonight. # you're welcome, Mike. Thank you very much. They're 30-81. They're 34.5 games back of first place. This is going to come down between the Dodgers and the Padres, Dalton. I'll let you go first on this one, but how do we feel?
So this is a tough one for me to be, fair about, but
yeah,
I'm going to go Dodgers 70%.
Yeah.
I think this is close. This is closer than I'm comfortable with, right? Like, I think if you asked me preseason, I would have said Dodgers 90%. So the fact that it's Dodgers 70% now tells you how things have changed.
Yeah.
What's kind of interesting when you look at these two teams and what's left on their schedule, they have 6 more with each other. Okay. So you wipe those off, right? They both have 50 games left entering tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
So you take those 6 off against each other. Now they have 44 games left. Okay. They both play Colorado 7 more times. Okay. So you take those off the schedule. You assume they're going to go 7-0 in those games. Now they have 37 left. Okay. I'm going to give you 2 blind schedules, and I want you to tell me which one you think is easier. Okay.
Okay.
Schedule A,
mm-hmm.
3 against the Mets, 3 against the Red Sox, 3 against Seattle, 3 against Cincinnati, 3 against the Twins, 6 against the Diamondbacks, 3 against the White Sox, 3 against the Orioles. Okay.
Okay.
Team 2, 3 against the Phillies, 3 against the Blue Jays, 3 against Seattle, 3 against Cincinnati, 7 against San Francisco, 6 against Arizona, 3 against Pittsburgh, 3 against Anaheim, 3 against St. Louis, 3 against Baltimore.
The second team has the harder schedule.
Interesting. So you think the Dodgers have the harder schedule?
I do.
I think the Dodgers have the slightly easier schedule, but it's razor thin. And these are the 2 easiest schedules in baseball left, by the way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just think, honestly, the separator for me was that I think there are more teams on the fringe that the Dodgers play than the Padres. Like, I don't think the Cardinals are necessarily like easy wins as opposed to like, the I don't even remember.
The Twins. I mean,
right. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think the Cardinals are still better than the Twins right now. Yeah.
See, I don't, but that's an interesting thing to parse through. Yeah, I mean, look, part of the point that I'm making, both of these teams have very winnable paths outside of playing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So those 6 games they have left against each other are going to be critically important. And outside of those games, it's going to be who can execute on the dog days of August nights when you're playing a shitty team.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Who can just execute and take care of business. For the last several years, what the Dodgers have had over the Padres, I'm not sure what the head-to-head is, but the regular season head-to-head is probably in favor of the Padres over the last 2 or 3 years. The reason the Dodgers win that division every year is because the Padres, over that period, I believe over the last 2 years, the Padres have a losing record against Colorado.
Wow.
And they just don't the Padres play down to their competition. They don't bring the same energy every night. It's been a problem for them every year. And when it comes down to these games against lesser opponents, I trust the Dodgers more to maintain their focus.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Well, here's the thing. I will say, I'm massively confident in the Dodgers, given that they are getting healthier. So I still think the Dodgers are the favorite to win the World Series. I still feel that way. I felt that way throughout the entire year. There wasn't a point during this year where I felt, obscured from that opinion. But I still think it's the Dodgers. I would say the Dodgers at 75-80% to win the division. The Padres had a whale of a deadline. I mean, we could talk about value all they want, right? Giving up Leo DeVries and however many top 20 prospects they gave up to fortify this roster. But truth be told, in this current situation, the Padres have a really good roster. They can really get at you from multiple angles. But yeah, I would still take the Dodgers. I still think they're the better team. So yeah, I would say Dodgers 75-80% for me.
75-80% is high. But yeah, I agree. Look, I mean, those games are going to be huge. Those 6 they have against each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of baseball series worth watching the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Top of the list, you've got the 7 games between the Phillies and the Mets, the 5 games left between the Cubs and the Brewers.
Yep.
The 3-game series at Yankee Stadium in the beginning of September between the Yankees and the Blue Jays, and those Dodgers-Padres series. That's some of the best baseball we've got left on the calendar. So really looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, circle that on the schedule, because you're not going to want to miss those games. Those are going to have playoff level intensity. I really believe that. Okay, so let's shift to let's talk about the Twins, because we after the deadline, I mean, this roster's gutted, right? I mean, it's pretty empty. I mean, Yohan Duran's gone, Griffin Jackson's gone, Carlos Correa's gone, Harrison Bader's gone, Willie Castro's gone. They got rid of a lot of guys on that roster. So it's interesting how the reactions have kind of been. But Dalton, we talked, like I said, we talked a little bit about how the Twins sold off a lot during the deadline. How are we feeling about it at this point? Was it a good thing that they kind of relieved some of that pressure at the deadline?
Okay, so part of what prompted me to want to make this a topic is people here in the Twin Cities are incensed at the Twins. Mm-hmm. Just furious at the Twins. So mad. I understand, right? As a fan, you watch a team trade away most of its best talent, it pisses you off. That's totally fair. That's totally reasonable. Okay. In defense of the Minnesota Twins, what have fans, you might not be quite as tuned into this, but what have fans in Minnesota been yelling for the last 10 years? They've been yelling at the poll ads to sell the team. Mm-hmm. They've been pissed at the poll ads for not spending enough money, not investing enough. They want them to sell the team. Okay. That is finally happening. Okay. You're getting your wish. Part of getting your wish, though, is they have to make this asset from a cash flow perspective look better. That's why Matt Ishbia went to the Chicago White Sox and bought them and not the Twins, right? So by shedding $70 million worth of payroll and bolstering your farm system, moving it up, I think it was 12 spots in MLB's farm system rankings, this asset just became a lot more valuable. It just became a lot more attractive for an owner to want to purchase who wants to spend money. And by the way, the cupboard is not bare. Like, I get it. The bullpen now is pretty bare. You can build a bullpen season in and season out. Like, that's just a fact, right? Like, they could have a great bullpen next year. Neither one of us would be shocked. So, but let's think about what's left. You have a top two going into 2026 of Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez at the top of that rotation.
Yeah, real solid.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. David
Festa looks pretty good. You're getting to look at some other young guys. Maybe one of them sticks. Maybe none of them stick. But now going into next year, you want to spend $10 million on a 3-starter? You can do that. And now all of a sudden you've got a decent rotation going into next year. Dustin May is a free agent, just as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dustin May is not going to be commanding a huge contract. You could go into next season with Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, Dustin May, David Festa, Bailey Omer. That's a solid rotation. That's a good start, right? You still have Byron Buxton. You still have Royce Lewis. You still have Trevor Larnach. You still have Brooks Lee. You have Walker Jenkins coming up the pipe next year. They now have quite a few really talented offensive prospects coming up through that pipeline.
Yeah, right.
This is not a teardown of White Sox proportions or of like A's proportions like we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that the only contract they got rid of that I hated them getting rid of was Louis Varland, because you had 4 more years of control on him and he's been pitching great.
Yeah.
Outside of trading Louis Varland, they mostly traded expiring contracts and guys over 30. I don't blame them for that.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
I mean, their most valuable asset they traded away was Duran by far.
Right. And by the way, for Duran, they got a guy in Mick Abel that looked really good in the majors with the Phillies next year and probably is that number 3 starter next year.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but like that's a much more reliable asset year in and year out than a closer.
Yeah.
Especially a closer who throws 103 and is probably going to have an arm injury at some point. I'm not trying to put that out into the world, but like, let's just be honest, right? Yeah. Like that's an arm injury waiting to happen.
Sure. 100%.
Like, and then in that deal as well, you get a guy in Eduardo Tait who is 18 years old and already mashing in single A. Like, that's a really advanced offensive catcher in a world where catching defense is going to matter less really soon. So I just wanted to come out here and say, look, I get why Twins fans are pissed, but number one, you've been asking for this for years. Like, this is part of selling the team. And number two, the cupboard is not that bare. It's not. Like, there's a lot still left here. And what the Twins did at the deadline is going to give them a better chance to build a World Series contender 1, 2, 3 years from now than had they not done it.
It was 2 years, like honestly, 2 years in a row of them not meeting expectations, right? Like, point blank. Like it last year they had a bad year. Okay, this year, listen, we still have that same hope. You and I both said it beginning of the year. Like, the Twins still have really talented roster. They should easily win this division given what else is there. And they didn't. Like, they just don't. Okay. Yeah. Their roster they couldn't put it all together. And that's fine. You know, sometimes cores don't work. Right. So Paul Schwartzoff in the comment section said I think they reached their peak with Correa, who I think is going downhill quickly due to his injuries. Now Lewis and Lee can develop at third and short. I mean, listen, Carlos Correa is an easy guy as a baseball fan, right? Is if he plays for your team, he's an easy guy to fall in love with, right? He really is. He's a smooth ball player, highly touted guy, like all of that. Like, he's a really easy guy to fall in love with as a fan base. But now you're out from underneath that contract. You're out from underneath some of this other stuff. You bolstered that farm system like you wouldn't believe. And like you said, this is not a roster that is completely, void of any talent at all. You still have several guys that are there that can contribute to winning. So I agree. I don't think this is a bad sell. And you had to do something. I mean, there are a lot of fan bases in baseball, Dalton, where if their team was performing like this, they'd be begging for the team to sell.
Yeah. Look, and Paul's point is really well made, especially with Correa. Like, look, I get it. Correa is not that old. He's only 30, 31. He feels older because he's been in our zeitgeist for so long. But
Yeah, right.
But you convinced another team to take on $70 million of a contract of a guy who's OPSing around 700 this year.
Yeah.
Like, he's been a below average offensive player.
And probably because the Astros love him. And that's why.
He's been a below average offensive player, a bottom quartile base runner and fielder. Like, he's been actively bad defensively and running the bases.
Yeah.
And he's been a below average hitter. Like, what? I mean, if another team wants to take on 70 million of the 100 million that's left, it's a no-brainer if you're the Twins. Deal. Honestly, like, why not get out from under that deal? And I get it, right? It's like, well, the Pohlads still own the team. They're not going to reinvest that money. But the leverage this gives you in being able to sell the team is reinvesting that money. Like, the quickest path to the Twins contending is not, let's keep running it back with this same group that clearly is not as good as the sum of its parts, right? Let's not keep running it back with that. Let's do something different. And you're still maintaining most of your young talent. And, like, dude, this team could contend next year. Like, the AL Central is still bad. Like, I get it. The Tigers got hot for a lot of this year. If I told you next year the Tigers are a 500 team, you're not that shocked, are you?
No.
Right. So, like, this division's still wide open, and you're still going into next year with Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Mick Abel, Bailey Ober, David Festa. The cupboard's not bare. So I just wanted to, like, tell Twins fans, I get it, but take a deep breath.
Yeah. Walker Jenkins is going to be a stud.
Yeah.
That kid's going to be real good. Twins fans are going to love that kid. So, yeah, great stuff there. Please have the Yankees. Oh, my God. Did they just blow another lead? This is beyond. They were up 3-0. Now it is 3-3. Early on in the game, it's still bottom of the second, but it's God almighty. It just never ends. Okay. Dalton's Hot Corner. What do we have for us?
Yeah, we're going out to Anaheim tonight for the Rays and the Angels. I am taking the Rays in the first 5 innings, specifically behind Adrian Hauser. For whatever reason, the Rays are an underdog here. I don't really get it. I think the Rays are a better team. They've got a better bullpen, a better lineup. And I know that Adrian Hauser is not a sexy name, but he's been unbelievable. He's 6-2 with a 2.1 ERA, and now he gets to go pitch in slightly more meaningful baseball. I think that's just going to result in an even better version of him. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really understand. Like, I get Kikuchi's been decent, but, I mean, Hauser's been better, and you're giving me plus money. Pretty simple. First 5 innings, Rays plus 120.
Yep. Like that. Adrian Hauser has been so good this year for no reason at all. I mean, like, there's no way that anybody could have predicted that Adrian Hauser is this dominant this year. But all right, so that does it for us. That's Dalton Brown. I'm Mike Guido. This is the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast, exclusively on the Grid Network. Thank you for tuning in every Monday, 8:00 Eastern. Make sure you tune in for that. Catch all the programming here on the Grid Network. We will see you next week.